Welcome back to the Lenz Comic Corner, the Classics Non-Classics. This is episode number 1658 and Doubleshot number 1658, Doubleshot number 1552. Now, these two trades I'm covering are from Nick Spencer's run for Amazing Spider-Man. This one the first one here collects issues from the main series. The other one is a mini-series that tie in to the final story arc. First up is the Chameleon Conspiracy, which this collects issues 69, 69, is 69 of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, and the giant-sized Chameleon Conspiracy one-shot. Now, this storyline picks up right where King's Ransom left off, where the fact that Richard Fisk is alive. Yep. Now, does it play a role in the storyline? No, not really. As a matter of fact, after this particular storyline is wrapped up, next time you see Richard Fisk won't be until The Devil's Reign, which started just last month. Yep. I don't think anybody saw him. Mostly for this one, we have a couple different storylines going on here. The main thing you can say about the storyline is that it's built for the final story arc. We have old Spider-Man with the Spot. Yes, the Spot. Breaks out Kindred, and the only reason why he does that is at the very next story arc. And we also have the gathering a bunch of villains in here. We have Dr. Octopus basically being tasked by the Kindred to reassemble the Sinister Six. Yep. And the first person he goes to recruit is the Sandman. Yes, the Sandman. A character who had not been seen in quite some time at that point. I believe it was rumored, I think it was suggested he may have died at some point. Yeah, back in Amazing Spider-Man 308, 309. And, this was back in, this came out, last year, I think it was. Let's see, 309, that came out in 2018. That was about 3 years ago. And then he returns here. Or somehow he's alive, no explanation for it, just alive, and he's there just pretty simple to Sinister Six. And then Dr. Octopus goes and resurrects Electro. Yes, Electro. Who at this point in time had been dead for 5 years. Actually, about almost 6 years. Because Dan Slott killed him off during the very first story arc of the volume of Amazing Spider-Man that came right after the Secret Wars. He had him get killed by a resurrected Frankie Ray, who soon became the female Electro and served a minor villain for Mary Jane Watson. Yep, he's brought back here, and then later on recruits the Kraven Hunter clone, and basically puts together a new Sinister Six, which leads into the Sinister War story arc. As of the Chameleon, well, there's kind of some revelations here, where it seems as though all the good work the conceptionist Chip Zdarsky did in developing Teresa Parker, where it's revealed that, yes, she is definitely the daughter of Rachel Mary Parker and the sister of Peter Parker. It's implied that that was a lie, that it was basically Chameleon people. Ugh. And she is not accepted, and she basically says, I am the sister of Peter Parker, and I am the daughter of Richard Mary Parker, and that is it. But in the case of her, per se, she, as far as I can tell, does not appear again. Yeah. It seems as though, in the case of Tessa Parker, which some people call the Good Punisher, which I thought was kind of funny. which basically has it going after the Finisher, which has a ton of references to other Spider-Man storylines. Now, I should point out, though, she's not been seen since the Chameleon conspiracy wrapped up. That was back in June, so she's not been seen in 6 months. She's not even a factor in the next arc. It's with the Finisher, the guy who orchestrated Death to Parkers, he's still around. Yeah, and of course, they do referencing here, Amazing Spider-Man A number 5. Yep. And of course, they do bring back the character Jimmy Torino. Yeah, he's here for this very story arc here. And, like, that is it for him. He disappears. It's like Nick Spencer completely dropped him. Yeah. The Finisher himself is a Stan Lee character. And he technically is responsible for killing the Parkers, Richard and Mary Parker. This was, in the prior to the story, this was his first appearance since Amazing Spider-Man number 5. Yeah, that was back in 1968. And somehow he was still alive. Like, this came out in 2011. That appearance was in 1968. That was, like, 53 years ago. Like, wow, what a long time. So Nick Spencer officially has become the second person to want to do something that Stan Lee did from his 60s run. I mean, first was Rick Remender by retconning that Bennett Brant was alive, though he killed him off toward the end of his run. And now we have the Finisher alive, and you have Jurassic Park going after him. Who knows what that's going to lead to? We also have the Silver Sable, where she is fully recovered from her being in coma for a while. And of course, it's interesting in the way that Nick Spencer wrote The Foreigner, where he's like, I have a luscious factor toward you, where basically he's like, he sees the silver, he sees his ex-wife, his beautiful ex-wife, and he's basically holding himself back in that very moment from having sex with his own ex-wife because of how hot Silver Sable is. Yeah. Which, you lucky guy. Why'd you divorce her? If married to a smoking hot woman. Yep, and then of course we have stuff leading to Sinister War, where he hires Taskmaster and the Black Ant to go after some other people. But yeah, this of course is really good. The whole thing with Richard Fisk, it's not really delved into at all. It's just something that's, I should point out though, this, it's never really delved into at all, but I found the story pretty good. I do agree with my friend Tivia, the whole Chameleon stuff in the Chameleon conspiracy story arc was not interesting at all. It was probably the worst thing about this whole story arc. But everything else was really good. I give this book a 9 out of 10. Alright, next up it is Sinister War. Yep, the 4-issue miniseries that Chameleon conspiracy led to. We have Spider-Man fighting 4 different suit villain teams on this whole story arc. He follows Savage 6, which was assembled in the Hunter story arc. Excuse me. The reformed Sinister 6. The Sinister Syndicate. Which, of course, is the female Sinister Syndicate. Yeah, there's actually a few different teams. We also have the Superior Foes, which was a version of the Sinister Six. Yeah, Nick Spencer created these guys, so why the heck not? Yep. By the way, the cover, the very first issue, it's a homage to the Parker, The Lost Years. Yeah, it's a great cover. I least got handed to, I think it was Mark Bagley who did the artwork for this thing. Yeah, he did. There's also something with Cage McKnight, a.k.a. Mysterio. That comes into play here. Yeah, then we also have Wild Pack. Yes, Wild Pack, which simplified the Foreigner, which made up of Jack-o'-lantern, one of them anyways, Steve Levins, Snide, Chance, Taskmaster, and Black Ant. Oh, by the way, the Syndicate, they actually have a new member joining the team in this story, in this miniseries. Alyssa Craven Hunter's daughter. Yep, she joins the team here. Yeah, of course, the Syndicate is made up of the White Rabbit, the Trapster, a female Trapster, the female Craven Hunter, the female Electro, the Beetle, and Clara Trainer. Which, that's interesting. Yes. They also resurrect Sin Eater, who had just died prior to this. They also have people like Grey Gargoyle, Whirlwind, Moreland, the Juggernaut, the Living Laser. It's like all villains galore. It's almost like, though, you read this miniseries, it's like Nick Spencer loves the Spider-Man villains. He loves them. So, throwing like every single villain that's still around. With the exception of Hobgoblin. Yeah, Hobgoblin is nowhere to be seen in the storyline. They do, in fact, reference the whole thing with Ned Lads, where somehow he's alive. And they kind of explain how he's alive thanks to the serum when he posed as the Hobgoblin. And somehow that allows him to live. And there's stuff related to Doctor Strange in here. But the one thing, this book, you might be like, really, Nick Spencer? Really? In issue 4, he kills off Boomerang. Yep. Boomerang dies, saving Spider-Man. Yep. So yeah, he does kill someone off. Boomerang. A character who... Well, how should I put this? A character who he very well developed. He made basically an anti-hero, which I thought was so cool. Yep. By the way, in case you wonder what basically makes it the Savage Six, it's led with the Vulture. It also has King Cobra, the current Tarantula, Stegoron Dinosaur Man, Matt Gorgon the Scorpion, and the Rhino. You're thinking, really? Yeah, really. Now, also the Jacqueline appears in here. He hadn't appeared in some time prior to the storyline. I mean, his last appearance was actually in Volume for the Ghost Rider. Yep. And then he returned the pages of Despicable Deadpool, popped up just prior to this. And, like, as soon as basically the story arc wrapped up, I don't think he appeared ever again. I think the one character who appears in the story arc is quite surprising he's even here, Carolyn Trainer. Yes. Which I should point out, though, like, it seemed like after the 90s, she popped up in Secret War, and then she was Black Panther, actually a couple issues of Black Panther, New Avengers, Winter Soldier, a couple issues of Venom. And then she finally returned to Spider-Man in I think it was like 2019, I think it was. Yeah, 2019. Yeah, making her first appearance in a Spider-Man comic book since... Let's see if I can find it here. 1997. So it takes her a good, like, 22 years to finally return to the Spider-Man comics. And then she's here for the story arc, and, like, that's it for her. Yeah, I like the character Carolyn Trainer. I kind of wish to do something more with her, but who knows when it comes to that. Yep. But this miniseries is fantastic. They included the teasers that built up to this very miniseries, which is so awesome. Now, with it, by the way, I give this book a 10 out of 10 because this book is so good. Like, if you love Spider-Man villains, you would basically love this miniseries. You'd be drooling over every issue. See all the familiar villains. It's almost like the best way you can describe this miniseries is that Nick Spencer doing a love letter to the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. And throwing a character like the Juggernaut, who's Spider-Man's fought a few times, which is awesome. Grey Gargoyle, I don't think he's ever fought before that I can think of. But what's interesting, we threw in the Sin Eater, which is something he did. He resurrected the Sin Eater. And, like, nothing's ever since that we have a resurrected Sin Eater just walking about. Yeah. But this book, I give it a 10 out of 10. It's just really, really good. Yep. Now, technically, there is one more trade left to go for... excuse me. For Nick Spencer's run for Amazing Spider-Man, and that's it. And then be on to the Beyond stuff, which I'll review in the future. My friend Tivia is not a fan of the Beyond stuff, like the current stuff published for Amazing Spider-Man. He does love the Amazing Experiments that Nick Spencer did, which I agree. This run was fantastic, and then comes Beyond, which it seems as though is like it's almost like when I'm reading it, and I'm sure Tivia, you watch this, you might agree with me. It seems as though with that run, it seems as though the writers have no idea what they're doing, just riding along. While Nick Spencer had a plan. He built up everything for this whole entire run. He set things up early on, and he paid them off tremendously. Like, for example, he built 2 story arcs over the course of 3 freaking years. Like in the very first issue, he set up basically 3 major story arcs. He set up the Hunted. He set up the Kindred story arc, which is really good, and the finale. 3 major story arcs this run, which is awesome. The only thing people can agree is that charging $10 for issue 25 was stupid. Yeah, but not much to say about these 2 books. They're both really good. Okay, so that's it for particular review. Stay tuned for next week, which will be one more Comic Corner, and that'll probably be it for today. Okay, next video. Bye.